One of the great questions that I pondered for, I don't know, probably a decade, which then led to action about 7 years ago, which then led to rehab and recovery starting 6 years ago. And that question really is, what would sobriety give me? And this is a relevant question because when it comes to addictions or addictive behavior or anything we do to soothe ourselves, it gives us something. So when you drink, when you have a glass of wine at 4 p.m. every day, or if you start, doing drugs on the weekend, if you use pornography, if you, any of these things, food, whatever it may be, even your phone, right? It gives you something. It gives you a sense of relief. It gives you a sense of distance from the pain that you're feeling in the moment. It might allow you to connect with others around you more than you're normally able to. It may just let you escape from your thoughts, right? Which, gosh, wouldn't that be nice a lot of the time? It's just escape from our thoughts. Check out that sun. It's beautiful. So asking about what addiction or any behavior that is bad in the long term but great in the short term, asking yourself what it gives you is a key element in understanding why you do it and then how to move through it and past it. And so this question has probably been on my mind for 10 years and I didn't even realize it. Because I knew I should quit alcohol and some of my behaviors. I knew that years ago, right? One of my, my mom made a piece of art that's in my washroom. It says, "You're my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. I'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away." And I had someone over yesterday and they saw it and they're like, "Oh, that's great." And I was like, "Yeah, but it was a memory from the last Christmas I had with my dad before his accident." And it was. And the reason I say that is because I can remember that Christmas drinking and just it being time to drink. It was Christmas. Let's drink more. Let's feel better. And so why am I telling you that? Because I knew for a long time deep down that I had a problem with alcohol. And, but I didn't have the tools, or I didn't have the resources, or I couldn't fully express because of shame, or I didn't know what actually, here it is, really. Okay, it's more, I didn't know what my life would look like without alcohol and drugs, right? Because it filled such a large void for me of stress, of the ability to connect, because connecting as myself was sometimes painful, right? Some of my personality traits were generated through trauma. And so all my self-deprecating humor and my sarcasm, which, hey, I'm a pretty funny guy, you know what I mean? But at the same time, some of those personality traits were painfully generated, painfully come by. And so I didn't know what it would look like to not drink. So where am I going with all this? Well, you might ask yourself, and I know I've made this pretty clear to myself and pretty clear to other people, like if you're watching any of my videos, but what has sobriety given me? And what would life look like if there was no booze in it, if the drugs were gone, if the gambling was gone, right? What would it look like? And we're on Saskatchewan Drive. It's about 8 a.m. in the morning. I was up till 11:30, went to bed, got up early, saw the sunrise, did a morning meditation. And this is what life looks like, right? And life is not one big ball of excitement all the time. But I'm so much closer to just being here and now, right? You know that song? Right here, right now. There is no other place I want to be. Something like that. Okay. So it's giving me the now, right? And what's so beautiful about the now is that it's the only place we exist, is right now, right here, as the sun rises, that's where we are. And it's interesting. I met up with someone last night. We had a great meal, lots of great connection and conversation. And then afterwards, I was at home, and then my mind just started thinking, right? And I was like thinking about doing some journaling, thinking about, what about, and I was remembering things from the conversation. But what it was triggering in me was like just thinking about my life, right? So these conversations were like generating, because the conversations were high quality, right? The high quality person that I was hanging out with and spending time with, right? And the conversations were high quality. And so then my mind got a little anxious about like my life and past things. But you know what? I was able to just sit and let all the thoughts roll through my head. Right? And it's like, that's the thing that we don't do. We're so scared to sit for 5 minutes, let alone 10, let alone 20, with ourselves and just let all the thoughts come. And when I did that, I started thinking about, what about this? And I was remembering the seminary stuff. And then I was talking with her about the seminary stuff. And I was like, and then this, like all this was going through my head. And I just was able to go like almost a third party observer to your own mind, right? Like, that idea, that idea, that idea. And then they don't mean anything. They're just ideas. They just go through, right? And I had the same experience this morning. I was doing a gratitude meditation on my couch, and then I had all these ideas about the future. Like, I should do this, I should do that. Well, what if this happens? Or what if, and I just let them go like, ding, ding, ding. Now, that doesn't mean it's easy, or like this whole thing where I'm walking on Sass Drive, the sun comes up, I'm up early in the morning, I'm drinking espresso on a Sunday. Like, I haven't always been like this, even in recovery. This reminds me of my first few months after rehab, where I was just up early every day, because that's the routine that I learned in rehab. And it's funny because I was asked last night this question about like, what do you have from your life that you still, from the seminary, from the time in the seminary, which by the way, it was 19 years ago, yesterday, that I went to the Seminary of Christ the King. And so the question was, what from the seminary, or what from your religious experience in the seminary do you still incorporate into your life? Or do you still have? Where's your spirituality at? And I wasn't able to answer this question immediately. And I think it's a really big question. But I have that love of routine still. I have that love of connectedness. And I have a love of silence. And I may not seem like I have a love of silence, but I do. The ability to just sit with your own thoughts. And that's something I learned in the seminary. And I still have a love of God. And I believe in faith. I do. And I'm just working out exactly what that looks like for me in this moment. But we got the sunshine. It's beautiful. And this is something sobriety has given me. Right? All of this. Especially the now. Living here, living in the now. If you would like to connect with me, let me know. If you have a family member that would like to connect with me, let me know. I'm smiling because this is beautiful. And this is all we have, right? We have the now. Right here, baby. Right now. There's no other place I'd rather be. I'm trying to think if I have a postscript, or as when I text people also. The power of realizing how much your reactions are separate from something that happens. So someone says something, someone does something, someone asks a question, someone comments on you, and you have like an internal reaction. And three things really. One, what they said may be perfectly neutral. Two, you're responsible for your reaction, but you're not responsible for your immediate reaction. Your immediate reaction is like just your feelings. Your feelings get affected. They get triggered, right? And three, we assign meaning to everything. Very few things, almost nothing has intrinsic, this is going to sound wrong, but almost nothing has an intrinsic meaning assigned to it, in the sense that we are constantly assigning meaning to the things that happen in our lives. We assign meaning, right? A friend doesn't call us back on a Monday that we were supposed to meet up. And our meaning is, oh, they're not that interested in our friendship, or they don't care about us, they don't respect our time, right? And it's like, well, that's not necessarily true. There's all kinds of reasons. And so things in life are meaningful, but so often we attach a meaning based on how we felt at the time that something happened. And if you can stop doing that, you'll never stop doing it, by the way. But if you can control more of how you do that, you'll be a step closer to living in the now. And the now, take a look, right? The now is where all the juice exists. So Rope and Walsh, Carpe Diem.